Mafia 3. You've probably heard by now that it's the worst thing to happen to gaming since Frankie on PC vanished into thin air. And although it's no Mafia 2, I find that complaining that Mafia 3 isn't more like Mafia 2 is like getting a handjob from Riley Reid and complaining that you're not getting one from Ryan Gosling. Yes, Ryan Gosling is the preferred option, but at the end of the day, Riley Reid's got a vice grip on your balls, and that's something you shouldn't be complaining about. In this game, you play as Lincoln Clay, a member of the Black Mob, and a war hero just returning from Vietnam. So you know that war PTSD is hitting him harder right now than the Church of Christianity hits someone who begins to show an interest in atheist beliefs. We step into the shoes of Lincoln Clay, which I can only presume are size 14, because look at him. The man's an absolute chonk. The first mission in this game is about committing a robbery with this skinny 5-head called Georgie. And just as me and Georgie are about to head out to the robbery location, I make my way into the back room and see a scene which can only be described as a game of hardcore charades gone very wrong. Clearly this man with the bag over his head, sitting in his boxers, was describing what happened to Madeleine McCann 5 hours after her kidnapping. And the geezer on the floor was just someone who was supposed to be another victim of the kidnapper, just laying in the basement to really set the scene. Unfortunately, me and Georgie have got to go right now, so we haven't yet put in our official guess for the game of charades yet, so I pick the body up off the floor, pop it next to the geezer who's playing out the role of Madeleine McCann, and let them know that we'll be back to make our official guesses in the next few hours. So we hop into our van and start making our way towards the Federal Reserve, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I ran quite a few red lights, because it is of the utmost importance that we return to the guy who we left strapped to the chair. Not that I care about him dying or anything like that, it just really vexes me to leave a game of charades unfinished. We arrive at the Federal Reserve, and it's actually pretty insane how much casual racism just gets thrown at Lincoln because it's the 60s.
The fuck's this shitheel doing here? Sad day when a God-fearing white man can't get a job. That old nigga who staggers in is hide on the spot.
I feel it important to highlight that because I think Hangar 13 really deserve a lot of praise from not shying away to show what it was really like in the 60s. And it's also all about context, similar to the stuff on my channel. I don't actually believe 95% of what I say, but it's all for comedic purposes. Like in one of my old videos, I remember saying that I believe women should have rights, but simping to that level is for virgins. So obviously I don't actually believe that. We get down to the burn room, and I imagine this is what Jeff Bezos does to keep his fireplace going. Because who needs coal, oil, or gas when you have the taxpayers' money? Any truers in the chat, boys? I was tasked with taking out the rest of the guards in a stealthy manner, which obviously I failed miserably. Rather than showing how good I am at stealth, I ended up getting a closer call with death than that one time when I tried to impress a girl by showing her my third testicle. I knew she was into me because when she served me at the checkout and gave me my receipt, my finger very slightly brushed hers. So I took the hint, and next time I walked into her store, I just laid my balls out on the counter for her, showing her my third testicle until she pointed out that it might not actually be a testicle at all. And let's just say I'm happy she pointed that out and I went to the doctors when I did, because we're all good now. Lads, just be sure to remember to check your testicles every now and then. And ladies, if you're down there giving him the Dyson Hoover treatment and you feel 3 balls in your mouth, be sure to let him know.
Holy fucking shit.
We break into the vault, and just as I leave for 2 seconds, Georgie manages to set off the alarm. And now it's becoming abundantly clear to me that when he came out the womb, he invested all of his skill points into charisma and speech, and nothing into sneak. And it's a good thing that Lincoln invested all of his skill points into being built like a Jeep, because he was able to hold off these guards without even breaking a sweat. And just as more guards are about to come flooding in, we then get taken back to a week before the heist, just as Lincoln had come home from Vietnam. We're introduced to a character called Ellis, who is Lincoln's stepbrother, and honestly, just watching this cutscene makes me wish I was around in the 60s. Just look at it. Beers with your boy on the sidewalk, littering, drink driving. God, I can just feel my testosterone levels rising as I'm watching this. Nowadays, if you shotgun 4 Stellas and run over a small child on your way to work, you're classed as a danger to society. We arrive at Sammy's, but before we go in, I decide to check out the neighborhood. And I realize while I'm taking my walk around the block that Ellis must have really missed me, because he's following me around like a tier 3 sub follows around their favorite female streamer at TwitchCon. I've never really understood the whole throw money at a female and then she will like you concept. The best thing to do is just be open and honest with her. Let your emotions flow, tell her your passions, fears, ideas, and introduce her to your peers. Just show her that you feel all the hurt and pain that's going on in the world right now, and that you're someone who's not afraid to let a tear shed every now and then, because being a man is all about being in touch with your emotions. Obviously, I'm kidding. If you really did that, she'd take advantage of you and end up fucking your best friend, because these hoes ain't loyal, and trust me when I say that you deserve better, King.
Welcome home, son.
That's Sammy, the closest thing that Lincoln will ever have to a father, because he took him in when he was a young boy. And he's also the top dog in the Black Mafia. It was my welcome home party, so we did a shed load of pills and drunk a lot of moonshine, because according to every single kind of media, that's the only alcohol that people in Southern America had discovered pre-2000s. Luckily, before I head off to bed, I managed to find myself a Playboy mag, so I'm sorted for the night. And it really hits me at this point. To have a FAP worthwhile in the 60s, you had to pay Hugh Hefner some money. I mean, there was no internet, so you didn't have easy access to such iconic titles like Help! Stepson, I'm stuck in the kitchen sink. Please don't fuck my big ass. And so on.
We've been having problems with the Haitians. But like I say, I got it under control.
We wake up to hear some news that isn't great, that we're having problems with the Haitians. But that's not the worry right now. It was time to go with Father James to the kitchen and help serve some people less fortunate than us. Because that's the best thing about being in a good situation, is giving back to those less fortunate than you. One day when I'm bigger on YouTube, I can't wait to do a charity stream so I can give back. And definitely not so I can bring it up in conversation every 5 minutes and post it all over social media, making everyone praise me for what a great guy I am, inflating my own self-ego. Now, I'm no food hygiene inspector, but if I was, I'd definitely be giving this place a 1 for the hygiene rating. Leaving a carrot out on the side like this just isn't acceptable. At least store it in the microwave, guys. So here I am, being a good little citizen, serving soup to the less fortunate. Just trying to pass the time with some casual small talk with the neighbours. That is, until this inconsiderate fellow walks in with bright red clothing on, looking like blood, which obviously then triggers post-war PTSD for Lincoln, so he's left with no choice but to chuck boiling hot soup all over him and headbutt him back to Haiti. This guy's friends, who are also dressed in blood red and funny hats, then want a piece of Lincoln. And honestly, watching Lincoln in action like this gives me a semi. I mean, I haven't seen a man move this swiftly since Joe Wick's PE session this morning. Have you guys been watching those, by the way? I mean, apart from absolutely reeking of 40-year-old mums called Sharon who drive around in Range Rovers, they're actually quite a good time. I go back to Sammy to let him know what has just happened, and it turns out the guys that attacked us were actually the Haitians. Lincoln Clay, being a no BS, keep the lights on while we're having intercourse, no lube needed kinda guy, just decided it was time to take things with the Haitians into his own hands. After consulting Sammy, we then got permission to go after the Haitians' main man, BAKA.
Trust me.
Alright, soldier boy. I'll follow your lead.
We pull up to Daka's place in a vehicle that's guaranteed to have the ladies dripping wet. Not because they'd be turned on or anything, but because the vehicle has quite a large shortcoming. The rather hefty motor on the back kicks up so much water you'll get off the boat looking like you've just had a conversation with Harry Kane. Surprisingly, I actually went through this whole camp and managed to do it stealthily without being seen once. Usually I play these sections in video games like a 5-year-old with severe ADHD, but today I turned that ADHD into ASD with a more thought out and organised plan. So hey, progress. We then find BAKA in a back room and manage to settle our differences. It turns out that whole time BAKA had someone in his closet that he was just keeping in there day and night. Rookie error, BAKA, my man. You should always make sure wherever you keep your victims, it's a one-way door. You can get in, they can't get out. Ellis picks me up, and we get away from the Haitians, and that was that problem done with. So now I'd suggest that you dim the lights, grab your favourite hand cream, light a candle, because it's time for a small montage to catch us up to the heist. We go off to meet Sal Marcano, the father of Georgie and also Don of the Marcano family, where we also get a very brief appearance from the one and only Vito Scaletta from Mafia 2. And it's gotta be said, it doesn't look like Vito has aged too well. Sal tells me about the heist job that he's got planned, and also how he wants me to become the leader of the Black Mob. This would mean Sammy retiring, and by retiring, he means the same kind of lie that you tell kids when you say that the cat ran away. I tell him thanks but no thanks, I couldn't betray Sammy like that, but I'm totally down for the heist job. And here we were back at the heist. With all the guards down, it was now time for us to escape with the money. Danny, who was with Ellis below the vault, thought that TNT might speed up the process and help us get the money out of the bottom of of the vault and through to the tunnels. That's like doubling your dose of G Fuel and thinking it's a good idea. It might sound peachy, but a gamer's heart rate isn't supposed to go over 50 beats per minute, and once it does, you're entering very dangerous territory. Obviously, all that Danny really achieved with the dynamite was hurting himself, but hey, it was time to jump on the boat and get out of here. And the boat escape scene went really smoothly and I managed to do it first time. Nah, just kidding, I failed this about 18 times because the boat mechanics were so dodgy and I really felt like breaking lockdown rules just so I could go to an orphanage and dropkick 17 children to take out my frustrations. I, however, like a good male man, bottled up my emotions and we managed to get through it. Everything looking good apart from Danny's leg, which was pretty much broken in half. We made our way through the Mardi Gras festival and we had the perfect excuse as to why Danny couldn't walk. He was just blackout drunk. While looking completely inconspicuous making our way through the Mardi Gras festival, I managed to find a situation in a bathroom which would have a frat boy absolutely dripping with pre-cum. Eventually we got through the massive crowds of people and police, finding an escape car that Sammy had left for us, and we were out of there, no police on our tail, with millions of dollars in cash.
I fought the law, and the law can kiss my ass.
We were set, we had millions of dollars ready to go, and it was time for a new life. Sal Marcano turned up to pick up his split, and well, this is where one of my favourite scenes in gaming happens, but unfortunately I can't show you it with the audio to make it even better because Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones is playing in the background.
You shouldn't have said no.
The Marcano family had just proved themselves to be the biggest scumbags going. They betrayed the black mob, making Lincoln a changed man forever. I don't think I've ever wanted to get my revenge on any characters more than I wanted to get my revenge on the Marcano family. And to get you in the mood for that revenge, you're then met with this scene.
Did you help Lincoln Clay murder Sal Marcano and all prominent members of his crime family?
You're goddamn right I did.
If that doesn't get you ready for revenge, well then I don't know what will. Thank you everybody for watching this video, I really do appreciate it. Mafia 3 is such a good game, and it gets a lot of shit because it's not Mafia 2, but nothing will ever be Mafia 2. If you do want to see more Mafia 3, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Leave your game suggestions down there as well. Be sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video, subscribe if you're new around here. I really appreciate you all watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.